This week's Nifty Gifties and F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for a new laptop, a tablet, desperately seeking an Xbox, new games, or a whole lot more, you can get them at the Microsoft Store. And remember that current students, faculty, parents, and active military can save up to 10% off of almost anything. And to browse the products, to see deals that are going on, to learn about the discount, you can go to f5live.tv/Microsoft. So they're making a bigger deal. This isn't part of our topic, but they're making a bigger deal about the discount. I was looking for a Surface Pen yesterday, and I saw they're like, "Hey, do you want to see if you qualify for a student, faculty, or military discount?" No, because I'm not going to, but I appreciate that you're making a bigger deal about it. Anyway, not talking about new technology, which we just were. Let's talk about some old technology, in particular, 2G. In the U.S., 2G began its end of life in 2003 with the release when Sprint started to transition to 3G. So that's almost 20 years ago. But phones aren't quite aware of that big difference, partially because most phone models are sold across the world, right? Very few of them are destined just for the United States or just for the big European countries. They go to a lot of places, some of which still use 2G. But the problem is 2G, just like using older style WEP secured Wi-Fi router or something, the security is antiquated. It has long been broken. It is easy to get around. The encryption between devices and towers is not great in modern comparison. And so there's become a big problem where somebody will set up a fake 2G cell tower and then jam 3, 4, and 5G. Your phone goes looking for 2G, jumps onto this thing, and then it can start packet sniffing because the encryption's not great, get information. Now, is it common? No, but it is becoming more common in more high-risk places. Washington, D.C., for example. And so Android and Android 12 released a new feature, which is a kill switch. You can go in and tell your device, do not look for 2G networks anymore. So if you're in the United States or the United Kingdom or, somewhere like that, where 2G has been off for a very long time, we're in the process of shutting down 3G in the United States right now. If you're in a place where 2G doesn't exist, turn it off. It's going to save your battery in places where your reception goes weird, because we all know it is other than sitting there with the screen on watching something. I think we all know that searching for 2G networks is one of the hardest things on a battery, because we've all felt our phone get hot in our pockets. So the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is never what I think EFF stands for, because it definitely seems like that first F should be freedom, and it isn't. They have obviously praised Google for including this in Android, and they are trying to get Apple to follow suit. I think it's an easy thing to implement, and it seems like a smart thing with these attacks happening more frequently. What do you think, Abram?
So they have the option to turn it off, or it's off by it's off by default, or it's off whether you like it or not.
So right now, by default, it is on, but the option is in Android 12 and above to turn it off, because some countries do still need 2G support. Hopefully at some point, or maybe even the carriers will implement an auto switch. If you buy your phone from AT&T, they know you're a US user and they'll turn it off by default, perhaps. But right now it is off. If you're in a country where 2G is long dead, turn it on. Turn that feature on. Get rid of the 2G.
So here's something that's just a little aside. So this month is the 15th anniversary of the original iPhone. and the original iPhone was 2G.
Yes,
It
it was.
ran, I think it used Edge. So there you go. If you if you have an original iPhone, can it even get online
I mean, with
without? I
Wi-Fi,
mean, not Wi-Fi, not with
that's
Wi-Fi. I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
cellular,
No,
with
it cannot.
cellular.
Not in the United States, it cannot.
Huh?
Because the 2G towers are long dead. And in fact, when the first iPhone came out, people were already upset that it didn't support 3G because 2G was already not the thing.
Yeah, I remember. I remember. So funny story when one of the when I the first year I was working for Laptop Mag was right after iPhone had come out,
Okay.
and we did a really wacky story where this don't try this at home, folks. Where a friend of one of our coworkers, friend of Kenneth's, actually, if you remember him, uh, had apparently gone jumped onto the subway tracks to retrieve his iPhone, and
Oh no.
which I mean he made it, but like we were talking about about what a bad idea that is. And so we interviewed this guy and like asked him, why did you do it? Was it worth risking your life? And like somebody did an article on like, you know, would you risk your life for your iPhone? And I think one of the points was not no because it's 2G. So so anyway,
Okay, that's
no
hilarious.
because you should no because there's a 3G model coming and it's not worth risking your life for 2G internet speeds. But
And,
any
and that
any,
was 15 years ago.
yes, yes. So anyway, it was a very bad idea that his friend did that. In fact,
Of course.
I can't name the person, but a few years later, he came back to us and he's like, "Could you please erase the story from your website because it's embarrassing when people Google me and find that my I dropped my phone on the subway tracks and then went down to get it." So anyway,
Okay,
PSA: if you
that's
drop
pretty
your
funny.
phone on the subway tracks, ask the go to the go to the booth and ask them to get it for you. And if they can't or it gets run over, then I'm sorry, but it's not worth even even the latest Galaxy Fold is not worth your life.
For sure. Um, that was a fascinating aside. But to talk about the actual security of 2G and this particular problem, while it sounds like it might be an obscure one, I can tell you for sure that it's not, because when I was with Radio Shack, there was a kiosk in the mall who was doing this, and this was 15 years ago, 10, at least 10. There was a kiosk in the mall that had a fake 2G repeater, and since inside the mall, like most malls, reception was questionable at best.
So why they do it?
I guess they were trying to get call information.
Oh,
They
so it was malicious. It was
Oh,
it was
absolutely, 100% malicious. They got
it was
arrested.
they weren't trying to do it for a business purpose.
No, they got arrested and everything. It was a huge thing. So this scam's been around for a long time, and now that the technology is gone in most of the West, it's definitely good to have this feature. I think Apple should follow suit. I think this should be in the next version of iOS for sure, to be able to turn radios off. That's You can turn off all data as a whole. Turning off certain spectrums seems like it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, for one thing, we have it going the other way, right? a lot of times with my Pixel 4a 5G, the T-Mobile 5G is not very good. And
Hmm.
so, at least where I live, it's not. So very often I find that when it connects to 5G, I get a slower signal than when it connects to LTE. So
Oh,
I've gone in and set it to only connect to 4G.
okay.
So you can drop from 5 to 4. Why shouldn't you be able to disable 2?
Agreed. Yeah, it totally makes sense. I think it was a smart move on Google's part. Good on them. Obviously, obviously you don't hear me make a whole lot of huge positive overtures in Google's direction, but I but I think in this particular case, it's 100% warranted. I think it's the right move, and they should be applauded for it, and Apple should be encouraged to follow suit. The good news is that the EFF has made it real easy to, for lack of a better term, bully them a little bit. We have a link on the website at plughitslive.com under the upstream. All you have to do is click the link and it'll open Twitter with a message tagging Apple and the whole 9 yards, and you can just hit tweet. Seems like a good move to protect everybody, especially when you consider that it is completely worthless, and at the very least it'll save your battery if you're in a really terrible signal area, you're in an elevator or something. This will save your battery significantly because, like I said, we've all been there. Hello, YouTube. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this episode of F5 Live Refreshing Technology. If you did, please subscribe to the channel down below, and of course hit the notification bell because we know that subscriptions don't mean much on YouTube anymore. If you've got topics that you'd like us to talk about in the future, please comment them down below. And if you'd like to not follow us on YouTube, there's lots of ways that you can follow along with our content by going to plughitslive.com/subscribe. There you'll see all of our shows and all of the ways that you can watch, listen, and follow along.